Hello and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been with me a while. I'm really happy that you're here. Today I am sitting at my desk with my journals, and today I thought it would be fun to show you one of my recent travel journals. The first thing that I want to share with you is what I took with me to India. Right away, journaling is one of the most important practices that I have, so I knew that I wanted to go prepared. And one of the things that I took was my traveler's notebook. This specific cover I got in 2025. This is the Love and Trip, which is really beautiful. And then I took my Hobonichi Weeks in this cover. I took the Weeks Mega, and I also took the Hobonichi Original. So I did use all of them, at least a little bit, but out of these, the ones that I ended up using the most were the Weeks and the Traveler's Notebook. One of the things that I realized time and again when it comes to my journaling practice is that what works for me at home is not necessarily what works for me while I'm traveling. And so when I'm home, I actually like to use this extra thick composition notebook from Choosing Keeping. It's really nice, really beautiful. It has wonderful paper that accepts fountain pen really well as watercolor. But I do find it to be a little bit bulky for travel. So when I go traveling, I usually prefer to take something a little bit lighter. That's why I ended up choosing these. And the first part of my time in India, let me just move this one out of the way. I was running a meditation retreat with my husband Ish, and so it was really wonderful. And there was also a lot of work to do. Like, we furnished a house from scratch, and there was a lot of prep to do before the retreat, and then even during the retreat, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. So I used my Weeks. Could have used my Weeks Mega as well, but I'm just trying to use them for different purposes. And so, yeah, I used my Weeks. It was really nice. Let me just find the pages during retreat. Okay, so this is a very typical page. So I have days when I taught yoga in the morning, and I recorded how many students I had each time. I used this to track appointments and to track days when we were going on day trips and such. And then I also have grocery shopping lists for, things that we just needed to get, just to make sure that everybody had enough food. And yeah, I think that was mostly it. It's interesting how even just looking at these simple pages really transports me back. Yeah, this is when I was trying to come up with a weekly meal plan, because it was a month-long retreat. So I wanted to have some ready-made ideas for dinner and have a lot of events going on, people coming and going. So this was just really helpful to keep track of that. That was mostly how I used it. So that was really helpful. I also used my other Weeks Mega to record some little things here and there, but this is the one that I just ended up using the most, so I just kind of kept going with it. In terms of journaling, my traveler's notebook definitely ended up the one that I used the most. So I was really happy that it worked out. And I'm just going to show you what I have inside. So this was the one that I got last year. I really like it. I've been using Traveler's Notebook for over a decade. So it's just nice that I could still really enjoy it, really enjoy the system. And just to give you a little bit of a flip through here, I have one of these zipper cases, which was really handy. Like I have a little sort of flyer that I got while I was in Pondicherry at the Sri Aurobindo Ashram, which is really cool. It has this beautiful artwork. And then it has some verse from the Upanishads. So that was really beautiful. I like keeping it here. I haven't had the heart to actually change up my zipper case because it just kind of looks nice the way it is. And then here I have a couple of postcards from the places that I spent the most time in during my 3 months. And those were Tiruvannamalai and Rishikesh. So I also liked keeping these here. I had this one in my bedroom while on retreat. I had like a little stool that I was using as a bedside table, and I just really loved this picture. Actually, the photographer who took this picture just passed away recently. But I might link him down in the comments just so that you can see his beautiful work. And then this one I also got at this great little store in Rishikesh. And I got to meet the photographer as well. So I might link that below as well. And then we have my absolute favorite journal that I used during my time in India. This is really the one that I got the most use out of. And I was really happy because let me just show you. I took, as well as journaling supplies, I took my colored pencils. Just in case I wanted to do a little bit of drawing. And so I ended up decorating the cover of this Traveler's Notebook refill or insert. This is the MD cream paper, which I really enjoy. It's been my favorite as of late. And so I'm really glad that I took my colored pencils because it allowed me to do that. And I also took my gouache paints, so that was really good as well. And I'm going to show you some of the sketches that I made. And then I have a couple more notebooks that I used during my time there. I have these two, and here in my zip case, I have just a bunch of things really that I collected during my time there. Just all sorts. This was from a pendant that I bought, and then I have some stickers you can see. I also took this zip case, which can be quite handy. But for the most part, I didn't want to keep my Traveler's Notebook too bulky. So it'd be common for me to remove like any extra weight. But here we are. Let's just start with this one. This is my absolute favorite from my trip. I really love this notebook. I decorated it with colored pencil, which was really nice. This is the MD cream paper, which I've been really enjoying. It's one of my favorites. I think Tomoe River used to be my favorite, but I don't know, just lately I feel like I've been enjoying this paper a lot too. And so I just want to show you a few pages from this notebook. Some of them just include yoga sequences as I was planning them. Let me just move this aside for a moment. So more yoga sequences. I have some sketches that I made. I'm really glad that I carved out the time for a little bit of art. It always felt therapeutic when I did that. And then a lot of times I would go to special places, holy places, sacred places, and it'd be really nice to just write down my impressions. Here I made a little sketch too. And this is from a time when I bought a lotus outside of the Sri Ramana ashram. There's usually somebody selling flowers there. And so when I got home, I decided I wanted to go ahead and sketch it. I was a little bit kind of playful with the colors there. This is from when we went to a temple. I made some sketches of the designs and this Ganesha statue that I saw there. And let me see what else I want to show you. Okay, so this is from Mahashivaratri. I just wrote down some impressions and some notes. And this was from, I think, another day actually, but I sketched my friend Vijay. And then this is a really good example of just like a standard page in this notebook. So you'll see that it just has writing, so nothing fancy. In some of my other videos, you might have seen my Hobonichi techo, which can sometimes have a bit more decoration. But I like to keep it simple. If I'm just going out to a special place, I just like to write down my impressions. I'll just write what I see, what I experience, how I'm feeling. And I find that it's actually really nice to be able to look back on it. So this is basically a typical page. And by the way, just to give you an idea of what I took my usual fountain pens to write with. So these three are my sailors, which I really like. I also took some ballpoint pens, and actually, surprisingly, one of the things that I used the most in this notebook was actually pencils. So I used this Blackwing Pearl, which is one of my favorite pencils, and that was really nice as well. It was considerably longer at the start of the trip, and now it's retired, of course, but I'm really glad that I got to enjoy it. And so a lot of the sketches that you'll see, and even a lot of the notes, are kind of made with this pencil. And I liked it because it also gave me a bit of freedom. Like if I was writing something, I could just erase it and correct it. And I just felt like free to change things up if I wanted to, which I appreciated. And yeah, just have a lot of, experiences from being on meditation retreat. I always find, even as a facilitator or organizer, co-organizer anyways, it's quite a transformational experience for me. So I have more notes. You can see it's very text-based. And then here, for example, I started studying Sanskrit while I was up in Rishikesh. And so I started practicing, my alphabet, practicing the letters, and again, writing down my impressions. So this is actually something that ended up becoming a Substack post, which people really liked. So I was grateful for that. Here's some more practice. And yeah, that's about it. But I really enjoyed using this. and it's something that I would use again. And the other two notebooks that you saw inside my traveler's notebook were just, this one I used for notes. So while I was in Rishikesh, I got to attend a satsang retreat with my friend Paul, and I just took a lot of notes. So that was really nice. And then I ended up using this one. I thought it would be more of a general notebook, but then I started taking music lessons. And so this one ended up being for my music, my kirtan notation. And so this was all written by my teacher, and it's really nice to have. So, I don't have a harmonium at the moment, but I've been practicing with a web harmonium. And so I think I've got a lot of these memorized by now, but if I ever need to look at them, I get to have this, and I can play some of these beautiful songs, some kirtan and bhajan. So that was basically it. I'm really glad that I got to, document some of my experiences, and I am excited to see how I document my next trip, which will be in September when I go up to Scotland. So I am sharing this because I hope that it inspires you to just journal or document your life, whether you're at home or you're traveling. But yeah, I hope that you've enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you next time. Bye.